Longship Batman. Oh my goodness, we're back in Shenaniganilandia. I know, it's been a while. We spent a lot of time at Western Wyatt's. But you know what? It's totally worth it. I'm totally stoked on being back here. I think for me, we've got a lot to talk about here. I had to remember what we were doing back when we last left Shenaniganilandia, where we last left off. And here we are. We are building out the rest of the plaza for Sleipnir. And then that's going to expand into our toddler area in Shenaniganilandia, right? Or in our Viking area of Shenaniganilandia. No, so as you can see, through our, intro video stuff, right? We did a lot of stuff with facades. We've got a dancing fountain. There's a Viking boat ride. That's not really a boat ride, but it's a boat ride. You kind of get the gist, right? You understand what I'm saying here, right? Right? So with that being said, let's get into it. So right now what we've done is we moved our lockers over, and I believe these are the lockers we had over in, I want to say maybe in our Polynesian area. I think that's where we pulled them from. And now we're just balancing out color and trying to figure out, okay, well, what's going to work best in this space? Now, I had a super weird glitch. I had changed the colors so fast when I was playing with it that we actually got the original model color. It was like this weird like clay green, super odd. It totally froze. I had to close this file down, open the file back up in order to even edit it any longer. It wouldn't move the file, it wouldn't let me click on it, it wouldn't let me change the color. It was like a whole thing. So but we're back in Shenaniganilandia. Super exciting to be back. I love it here. And then as you can see, what we've got going on is a whole lot of detailing in this area. So we're kind of like setting up the framework for our next moment that we're creating, and that is just really balancing out all the final details, right? Remember, the devil's in the details. A lot of people have been saying lately that the stuff that we've created together on our lives, and again, if you don't know, we're live almost every day. I do put out a live schedule here on Coaster Monkey Studios on the community board, as well as the Coaster Monkey Studios Discord. If you guys are interested in joining the Discord, you're more than welcome to. Come join. We have a good time there. We do a lot of talking. There's a lot of great artwork that goes up as well. It's super fun if you happen to be into art. But with that being said, we spend a lot of time kind of talking through this area and kind of building out this. And the conversations I'm getting back is that it looks so realistic, right? So I think, and that a lot of it's coming from Western Wyatt's, right? Because Western Wyatt's is our hyper-realistic park that we're trying to create, whereas this is realism, but more on the Planko side, right? So, and I think it's good to be able to play in both styles. I do want to do a super over-the-top, over-themed area that's super out of control. Totally in my vision. You guys are going to see that coming at one point or another. Maybe we'll do another mini series. We'll do another mini park like we do, or like we're doing with Western Wyatt's. But back to the build. So with the realism, we spent a lot of time talking on here about what's looking realistic, what isn't, how we're really elevating that. And I think it's the devil in the details, like I was saying before. You're really taking those very, very tiny, minute adjustments and changes to terrain, adjustments and changes to terrain painting, to the amount of foliage you're using, the type of foliage you're using, where you're using it, and what the balance looks like. It really does elevate that overall perception of realism versus not real, right? So with this particular building, my whole intention was to make it, I mean, granted, the area, it does feel very much like Isle of Burke, right? Somebody did call that out in one of our previous videos, and in one of our lives, and I think, it really speaks as a true testament to what we're doing as far as staying true to the source content, which is a lot of true Viking material, right? And we also have a Viking expert, if you will, in our Discord family, who also joins our lives very often, and she's awesome. Mio Art, they're awesome. So thank you so much for joining our videos. But with that being said, we do have a Viking expert who's kind of been directing us on what to do and how to do it, and making sure we're like hitting all the nails on the head with names, with lore, with backstory. So we're having fun, right? So with that being said, what we're looking here as, it's almost like a market style kind of energy I wanted to create, very similar to what we did over in our Polynesian area with the store. But we do have this canopy that goes over. The canopy is removable. You know, in off season, the canopy comes down. This way it doesn't get overloaded with like snow or like high winds. You know what I mean? So just something to think about when you're like building your stuff out. Like, what is the lore behind the content you're putting in? Right? What is the lore looking like? Now, I'm going to warn you now, this episode is a little bit lengthy in comparison to what we normally do. It's about 34 minutes, 34 and a half minutes. So we are going to do a lot of talking today. But before we dig in too deep into the build, let's talk about the channel for a bit and kind of what we've got going on. So as you know, we've got another mini series going on. It's called Western Wyatts. It's our hyper realistic park. I definitely suggest checking out that mini series. It's super fun. Hyper realistic. We actually just wrapped up the parking lot yesterday. Tomorrow on Sunday, this coming Sunday, when filming, we are going to do all the final detailing, and then that video should be out soon, or the next video should be out soon, which is the video for the coaster for that. So that's going to be super fun. We're going to have a special guest. All right, so that'll be exciting. And then we've already got some entries for our community project. So if you want to be a part of the community project and you want to build for Western Wyatts, all you have to do is you can join our Discord. You can message me on YouTube, but join our Discord. All the information's there. And if you want to build in our community, you're more than welcome to. You know, there are about 36 of us in the community. It's not a huge community, but you know what? I'm not a huge channel, so I'm cool with that. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to be a huge channel. I'm just having fun with my friends, right? So come have fun. Come join, right? So as we're finishing up the detailing here in our locker area, obviously we need bins, we need signs, all that stuff. And then my thought was to have some sort of a QSR kind of restaurant that would be in between these two areas. Right, because we've got the big restaurant in the main plaza for Sleipnir, right? But, oh, you haven't seen it yet. We will have a couple quick service moments in the kids area, in the toddler area, right? The little kids area. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to make sure we had a really good quick service sit down moment for our guests to come, grab a bite, have a seat, and then on their way, right? What's great about it is this is kind of like a central area because this now is just off the new entrance. We created a new entrance area on the other side of this kiddie area, and the idea of that entrance area is that that's where our hotel's gonna be. We're gonna have a big hotel for the theme park, we're gonna have a smaller hotel for the water park, right? And both of those are gonna have entrance moments of their own where guests can come out of and fill the park with, right? And they're both gonna have their own parking lots, like it's gonna be a whole thing. So with that massive expansion kind of being laid out, what we had to do is we had to make sure that we are now monetizing every footstep, right? Because there's a long distance from that entrance all the way to this entrance here, right? And we've got to make sure we're monetizing all that. We're going to have a little area just outside of the main hotel. That's where our carousel is going to live, which is going to be fantastic. We'll have that kind of in that area. I'm kind of thinking about maybe we go generic island with that. We bring it back to what we have on the other side, and we make this a very Polynesian kind of resort feel. Haven't figured that out yet. I haven't really digested it. What I want to do there, we're still in Viking, so we're going to keep rocking the Viking. So found that piece in this game, that quintessential piece that I've been using so much. It's that iron piece or that metal piece that looks like wood, I guess, right? So that piece, what we've done is we've kind of like stuck that in everywhere, minimizing the size. We're building out our windows. That'll be coming up shortly. We're doing all of our basic detailing and trim work all around this building here. This is, you know, a quick restaurant fun trick. I love doing this with these stones, make like a stone pathway. So this is super exciting because it really just does elevate the whole feel. And again, being a very wet, humid climate this time of year in the summer, and that's what we're saying. And my idea is that it's going to be very overgrown. You know, think very Pennsylvania, think very New Jersey, think very, you know, in the woods, Appalachia, right? That's kind of like the idea that I want to feel like very summer, hot, humid, gross, plants everywhere. You know what I mean? But like natural fauna, natural versus nature versus nature, as our friend Mike Sheets would say, right? So love kind of the way this all came out, this particular building. And again, it's just a galley. It's like a galley setup, right? It's just a long stretch, you know, and I think it really just does set the tone for the park and kind of what we want the park to look like. For this area of the park to look like, I should say. So, as we're doing trim work here, and again, you guys have all seen me do trim work, you know, at this point now, we had already gotten our TVs in, as we know, and we didn't get the mute button yet. So the entire time that I was filming this, I was making this, I was filming it, I was designing it, all I heard was King Coaster in the background going, ha, 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 ha. Dude. Now he can mute, by the way, so that's a good thing. Western Wyatt's launched with the most recent update, which came with Western, obviously, and that gave us the ability to mute the televisions. Thank goodness, because, oh my goodness, I couldn't stand it. I was just going nuts. So I was actually, when I was filming the glamour shots for this video, it was funny because I was like, dude, I need to mute it. I need to mute it right now. It needs to get muted. I can't even deal with it. It drives me nuts. Absolutely nuts. So, again, Viking trim work everywhere. And again, I do think this is a little overdone. But I think this whole area is overdone. And I think it's kind of giving me, now that I've gone into the hyper-realism side of everything, you know, it's kind of giving me Busch Gardens Williamsburg energy. And I say that very loosely because it's a little bit more themed than Busch Gardens Williamsburg, but it feels like, see, there goes King Coaster, you son of a, oh my goodness. Anyway, so it kind of gives me Busch Gardens Williamsburg energy, you know, and I totally get it. And I like it. I like it. I just feel like, you know, after going hyper realistic, this park now is making me feel like it's a little bit too Plinko, a little bit too overdone. But we're going to continue with it. Obviously, we're not going to give up on the project. I know I'm good for giving up on my projects, but I'm excited to get back into this. So when will you see the next lives coming around for Shenaniganilandia? Well, you're going to see them coming around when we get our next update on April 20th, because we are currently, as of the most recent recording, we are filming a restaurant, right? We're building a restaurant. And I think what we're going to do is we're going to use that new restaurant piece that we have, the new restaurant thing, mechanic, whatever you want to call it. And we're going to use that to build out this Viking restaurant that we've got built. If you haven't seen it yet, go back to our lives. They each have their own playlist. There's a playlist for the lives. There's a playlist for the, what is this called when it moves fast? The quick moving screens, live editing. No, whatever this is called. I can't remember. Time lapse. When we do a time lapse, there we go. There's a time lapse playlist for each of the parks, and there's a live playlist for each of the parks. So you can follow along in real time if you want to, or you can follow along in 1200 speed. Because that's what this is, 1200 speed. It's the only way we can fit it all in like a 20, 30-minute episode. Otherwise, it would be like bonkers. But what we're doing now is we've now moved on to our facades. I loved building these facades. These were so much fun to build out. These facades actually reminded me of, if you've ever been to a Six Flags and you've seen the Batman stunt show, basically this is what the backside of the backlot stunt show looks like, right? It's literally just this metal framework and then facades along the front, and that's what we've created here. I love the way it looks. I love the way it feels. It really just hits the nail on the head in our park, right? And it really just elevates the whole look. Now, the idea for this is that we do use the same facade twice. We flip them around and we change one of the buildings and we change the colors, right? But the idea is, watch this, you're gonna love this. Each area within our Viking area is gonna have a different color themed to a different thing. Beast, ride, whatever the case may be. So Sleipnir's main color is the red, so we went with the red, right? So now our houses here have red, blue, yellow, and orange, right? And we've got 4 main areas that are gonna be red, blue, yellow, and orange within our Viking area. And this is basically a combination of all of those brought together within this little kiddie area with our dancing fountain. Like, we've set up a little stage. Oh my God, you can't wait. It's gonna be so cute. But there's like a little stage for the kids. We made places for them to sit and they can like watch a show. Too bad we can't have like an entertainer stuck in one spot, or we don't have animatronics of Vikings. I think that would be really fun to have. So Frontier, you know, if you want to give us like an animatronic package, that'd be really great. I doubt that would ever happen, but it'd be fun to have. But anyway, so here we are. We're building out these facades, and I think the facades came out really fun. as a whole. What I'm looking at here is the first of four. I think we've got two houses, one that is a windmill, and then one that's a bar tavern kind of energy. We definitely wound up leaning a little bit more British kind of feeling, almost Tudor at one point. So I don't know if it fits the bill. If you like it, if you don't like it, let me know in the comments below, because we're not changing it, obviously. But I feel like, you know, it's good for me to learn for the future. If you guys like or don't like what we're doing here, say it. Don't spray it. No, yeah, seriously, don't spit on me. That's not cute. Oh, boy. Anyway, so this piece here, I love this piece because before we got the Western set, this piece was my wood piece that I was using as like my trim work. We no longer need it because now we have wood that works really well in the game from the Viking set. And I think again, hits the ball out of the park, hits the nail on the head, whatever you want to call it. But I think it just looks the part. I do wind up cutting out, so I have a whole pier setup. I do wind up cutting out the pier setup build in this video because I think I cut it out. I'm pretty sure I cut it out. But I cut out the pier setup because it's this, but then we wound up changing it. So I didn't want to show you me doing all that work and then leave it in and leave this to like a 45-minute video. I'm lucky you guys are even watching my 30-minute videos. I'm lucky I get 250 views a video. So, hey, it's fine. It's fine. I speak to my community. I don't speak to anyone else. If anyone else wants to join in the community, you're more than welcome to. Join our Discord. Link is in the description. Just click it, join it. You're more than welcome to come, hang out, chill, play all that fun stuff. And while we're doing the call to actions, like, comment, subscribe. Like, comment, subscribe. You know, it always helps the channels. It helps the videos out. It helps push them into the algo. But yeah, I mean, I think we've got some really great stuff here. I think we've got some really strong video content here for these builds. And we're just having fun on the lives building this stuff out. You know, it is a community project. We have a lot of conversations around it, especially in Western Wyatts. Western Wyatts, I've got a very vocal community talking about what we can and can't do. I had some great suggestions yesterday as we were building that out, so that was super fun. But with the Viking stuff here, I think the Viking package for me so far is the most built out package of content, because it creates a really full package image and feeling for the park. And I think it's the strongest package we have with the most detail oriented pieces. Would I love to have seen more basic stuff, like a more realism package, come into a DLC? Hey, Frontier, we'd love a basic realism package. Thank you. Appreciate it. You know what I mean? Just give me real stuff, you know? I don't want to have to pick and choose from all of these different packages to create something that looks realistic, which I'm doing now, right? And again, it's a part of the joy of the game. Let's be realistic. Is being able to find pieces and using them how they're not intended to be used. That is one of those nuances of this game that really elevates it. You know, when you're playing in Sims, I'll use Sims as an example, each piece is meant to be each piece, right? You really can't think outside of the box too much unless you've got all these mods and you're able to change sizes and cut and all this other stuff, right? But with this, right, you can literally use anything in the game and make it be whatever you want it to be. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's what really makes this game so exciting and successful for those of us who love to create. It's about, taking things that don't belong and making them belong. So yeah, so I'd love a realism pack, but outside of a realism pack, I think, you know, on the other side, it's also I love creating things and using them how they're not meant to be used. That's my speech. I'm going to get off my soapbox now. So as we're detailing this out, one of the bigger things that I was thinking about is how do we really just embellish upon this and really elevate the overall look. I think we've got a really strong, solid feel for this park at this point, and kind of the Viking story that we're telling. I think as we build this out, you're going to see we're going to build out our next video after this one. The next video will be the video that builds out the pirate ship, right? We get the pirate ship in full built out, or not the pirate ship, I'm sorry, the Viking ship. So I have a whole Viking ship area. We finally build out the back end of our roller coaster in the next video as well. So keep an eye out for that, because that's coming soon. As far as the channel goes, what we're dropping today is obviously this video, and then the next video that's going to come out on the channel is going to be a Western Wyatt's video. It's going to be our roller coaster video. And then the video after that will be the Viking ship video for this. And by then it should be around April 20th, where we jump back into lives in Shenaniganilandia, where we're doing our restaurant stuff. And building out all of our restaurant package, which I think is going to be perfect. You know what I mean? And I think we should go back and look at some of our other restaurants. So we've got 2 restaurants in the park. Kind of restaurants. We've got Surfs, the original Surfs, which is a full-on restaurant. We've got that quick service restaurant of Surf's Snacks and Stuff. And then we also got the Hurricane Harry's. So maybe we go back and turn those into actual sit-down restaurants versus QSRs. So it's something to think about for future when we do get that package, which I'm excited for. I can't wait for the next one. I also can't wait for more blanks for roller coasters, very basic roller coaster pieces, which is going to be fun for roller coaster cars. And then obviously, you know, just the added features and the clean out of the bugs. So I'm still getting crashes. I mostly get crashes when I'm playing with pathing. So something to think about there. It's mostly path and crashes. I got a crash yesterday, though, because I was placing bushes too fast. I mean, it happens, right? I guess it happens. So we'll see. But yes, it's just a thing. But I'm excited to see what the restaurants bring to the table for us. I'm excited to see what the future brings for Shenaniganilandia and obviously Western Wyatt's. I'm really excited about that project. That project's been super fun to work on. I've kind of really sunk my teeth into it really deep and really hard. And we are now at April 11th, so it's 9 days. 9 days to the next drop, or the next update on April 20th, which I'm super stoked for. All right, outside that, I think we're finally wrapping up kind of the detailing here. And what we do is, once we're finished on the actual facade details, we place these back to back. We make some minor changes to these facades, as you can see here. And then I had to cut a lot of it out, but we just did basic terrain painting. We did basic terrain foliage stuff. And then dropped some other stuff down and kept it quick, clean, clear, and easy. You know, I didn't want to overthink. I didn't want to overwork the area. Plus, I didn't want this to be a 3-hour long video, because talking for 35 minutes and listening to this voice for 35 minutes, it's a freaking lot. It's a lot. So just so we're all clear. All right. So with that being said, oh, I did leave some of it in. Look at this. I didn't realize I left some of it in. So that's exciting. Okay. I thought I cut all of this out, but it's okay. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. You're getting to see the process. 35 minutes long of process, right? I love this little gate we made. And again, this just goes into the woods. You know what I mean? Like, this isn't meant for actual guests. This is just a facade, like, it's fake stuff, you know, for our guests to be like, ooh, that's cute. Love that. Do you know what I mean? So kind of that energy. So super fun. Here we are building out. Oh, this is fun. So we made like a little gelato stand at the end of the pier, you know, when guests get off of the boat ride that we're going to put in, you know, they get off. Oh, let me get some gelato. You know what I mean? Like, that's cute. You know, like, I think that's a thing. You know what I mean? I feel like that's a thing. It's like, you know, like here's just a little bit of an artisan moment. You know what I mean? So I think that's super fun. And this is fun to build. You know, we took our basic stand and we made like a full-on counter. Like, it looks like a bar, really, right? So it's like an ice cream bar. Ooh, it's an ice cream bar. I love that idea. That's super fun. So we made an ice cream bar, you know, and I like the way we kind of positioned this. This has been like my go-to play thing for the Viking setup, is this roof piece, or this accent piece. This is really wall decor. And I've turned this into like everything from roofs to wall decor to shelving to, I mean, I've used it for everything, you know, and going back to what we were talking about before, being able to just use every piece for everything. You know, it's super fun, and I love those nuances of this game. So, and then again, look, we've got yellow. So what does that mean? So this kitty area here, its color is yellow, right? So we've got the main area is the red, the kitty area is yellow. right? And then when we move over to the Viking ship area, that's going to be blue. And then our kiddie coaster, the dual kiddie coaster that we created, the dueling kiddie coaster we created, that's going to be the orange area, right? And then it'll all tie together, right? And then when we make our stadium, because we have a stadium coming, there's going to be a stadium with a fort and all this other stuff, right? So that stadium, it's going to have banners in each of the colorways, right? Give me some Harry Potter energy there, bro. Love that for us. Super fun. Super fun. Oh, here's the little stage we're creating. So this is great. I love how this came out. And again, it's just super basic. You know, if you look at the stage I have in the park that I work at, it's not even this embellished upon. It doesn't even have a backdrop. You know what I mean? So like, I think it's fun. It's different. It's corny. It's quirky, you know, and I think it sells the part. You know, I feel like what I need to do is I need to take like a photo of the Viking village, do a snapshot of the Viking village, and then put a screen back there, or not a screen, one of the billboards, you know, and then that Viking village is the billboard in the backdrop. I think we're gonna go and do that. We're totally gonna go in and do that. I think that's super fun. So here we are. We're laying out the boat ride, and again, these boats just came from. I pulled these from the in-game blueprints, and if it's already built, why rebuild it? Do you know what I mean? So these are in-game Viking ships that we are basically utilizing, and we're creating planks that go up. Again, this would be very monitored by employees. There would be an employee at the front, employee at the back, helping people on and off of this plank setup that we've created. And this would be pulled on and off the pier, right? On and off the pier. Maybe it would be on and off the boat. We would have to figure out how that would be. But I think it would be on and off the pier, to be honest with you. And then what we've done here is we're doing the same thing, and then we kind of just reshuffle. So one boat is half built out with the oars. The other boat has the oars kind of thrown all on the deck, right? So this way, it's super quick and simple for our guests to jump on and jump off, grab the oars, and then it's like the pirate ride, not the pirate ride. It's the canoe ride. Canoe ride? Are they canoes? The canoe ride in Disney, where everybody just rows, right? That's the whole ride. You're just rowing through the river. Really? You're going to make me work when I'm on vacation at Disney World? Do you know what I mean? But that's what we're doing here. That's what we're doing here in Shenaniganilandia. So, yay. All right, so with all that being said, as we're looking at this here, we've got a really solid like boat ride pier setup. Again, had to cut a lot of this out, but this is my favorite part. So these are the dancing fountains, and it's really simple. You put your drains in, then you put your fountains in, point them to the drains you want, and then you go to the trigger sequence, and you trigger sequence them back to back to back, and then we have them all explode at the very end all together. We gave them a pad. It's funny the way I built it. I didn't plan to. I built it in an octagon, and the octagon floor pad stamp worked perfectly. Like boom, done. Super easy. But love all this energy. It looks really great. Super fun. I think we end up in a really cool situation here with our layout too, because it's like perfectly centered right in the middle. Something you're going to see here is I did put in 2 drink vending machines. I was like, the vending machines don't work for me. So we came back and we put in a full-on stand. And I think the stand came out great. It looks really solid as a whole in this space. And then once we put in all the foliage and the trees around it, it just really brings the whole thing together. And again, don't knock nature. Nature sells the realism. Right? Without the nature and without the terrain painting, it does not feel realistic. You know, and I think I can't stress that enough. And there are just some nuances and things that we did here that in laying out our terrain around the rides, around the coaster actually comes through. It comes up out of the water ravine, up into a cut of trees and cuts through. It's just chef's kiss. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's something you need to think about when you're building out your stuff. Oh, I love this. Sorry, this is a little Viking stand that we made. Love the Viking stand. This has just Viking treatments on the front, and it's a balloon stand. You know, we've got guests coming here and getting balloons constantly. Super fun, super cute. Does what we need it to do, and just sells the vibe of the area. Again, it's all about these little things that they're not moving, but they're selling the life of the park. Right? It feels alive. You know, and I think that's something we really got to be mindful of when you're building. Like, how do you elevate to the point of making it feel like it's alive? You know, huge win here, I think, when it comes to us building this out. You know, it feels like it's something. and it needs to feel like something. It needs to feel like it's super strong and super elevated. So, the balloons were fun. I really wanted like the in-game balloons, but they were just too big. Again, if we could just get universal sizing, get everything that shrinks down to 10% and up to 200%, that'd be fantastic. What's up, Frontier? Do you know what I mean? Why do we have different sizing per thing? Like, it's just weird. Make universal sizing. Make it all go down to 10%, because there's a lot of stuff in this game that I would use more of if I was able to shrink it down further. I'll use the ducks for the example in our last episode of Shenaniganilandia. Those duck heads were huge, right? They should be smaller, right? And I could have made them smaller, but they only went down to 50%. So if we can get it down to 10%, let's add that in an update. I'm here for it. So moving on over here. So this is, I can't say this name, so I'm not going to try and mutilate it, but this is our flat ride for the area. Again, this is a kiddie area. This is a kiddie ride. It's a carnival ride. It's meant to be just quick, easy, fun. No questions, comments, concerns. You know what I mean? It says what it does on the package, and we put one central statue in the middle, just like we would in real life. You know what I mean? That's how it would be built out. And I think it sells the vibe. I cut out all the fencing work that we did on the queue path. Again, you've seen me do that 100 times already, so we didn't need to do that again. Hey, it's fine. Right? So with all that being said, we do some more fencing, yada, yada, yada. Super boring. I'm so sorry I left this in. I apologize in advance. Okay, moving on to the foliage. I left this portion of the foliage in because this, for me, really sells where the planting goes, where your trees goes, being mindful of where you're putting your plants, your trees, and your terrain paint, because that's what's selling your realism in your area. And I just love the fact that the way we cut this out, and you'll see between this episode and the next episode, as we place the trees around that coaster track, it just chef's kiss, elevates. And that's what you want. You want to elevate the whole experience for the park. So one of my favorite parts about this too is that with it being built on a river, I'm very familiar because my home park is built on a river and a lake, and this is literally what it looks like in the summer. There's a lot of see, look, I was just testing that view. Right, we wound up closing off the view though because we put in a bunch of trees like an idiot. So I mean, maybe we cut back some of those trees. I don't know. I'm on the fence. No pun intended, but I'm definitely on the fence here. I think our biggest win with this little area too is the logos and the theming. So as you know, we've got these little troll stone characters. They're kind of like thrown throughout the entire area of the park, or all of the park. And for me, my favorite part of it is that we can put these little flats around with the gnomes, and now we've created that kiddie moment. You know what I mean? That really just elevates the vibe and the feel of the park, and I think it sells it. Here's the ride sign. I'm not gonna butcher the name, so you guys can just figure out how we're gonna say it. We made it into a tree since this is the great tree monster, the monster that lives at the base of the great tree in Norse mythology, right? This is the tree, and then its name. It's loosely themed, but it's meant to feel kiddie, right? It's like taking the Grinch and making him like kiddified, even though it was written for kids. You know what I'm trying to say. You know what I mean? But yeah, no, it's super fun, super cute. And as we're wrapping up this video, we're getting to the end of it. I want to thank you guys for joining for this episode. It was a long one, so if you made it to the end, thank you so much. And like I said before, like, comment, subscribe. You can join our Discord. Join the fun, join the family. We're having a good time. The community is very mindful of each other. We have a great time playing Planet Coaster and just talking all things theme park. But until the next one, friends, thanks so much for joining, and I will catch you then. Until then, keep on building.